This is the European Commission building in Brussels. Inside there's a clock ticking away towards the end of 1992. However, there will be no big bang, as already 2/3 of the legislation is in place. But we have quite a lot of work to do with regard to our attitude towards being European.
Is only 16 kilometres from Waterloo, the site of the famous British victory. City famed for its mannequin statue, Grand Place, and fashionable arcades selling chocolate and lace. It is now the economic and political heart of Fortress Europe. It was Sunday afternoon in the Grand Place when they caught up with a Birmingham lawyer working in Brussels.
More and more of our clients are trading on an international basis. The European Commission is here, this is the centre. We are doing more and more work on a European basis. More of our clients need a European service. If we're here on the spot, we could deal with the Commission face to face, we can set up meetings with them, we clear through the red tape, we get the job done quicker and we get it done easier for the client, and we effectively act as a mouthpiece for our clients with the Commission itself, which also means that when they are considering new legislation, issuing new directives or regulations in a particular area, we can actually put our clients' forward before the legislation is framed, so they can actually have an input into that process itself.
Who are you associated with?
In the Midlands itself, we have a lot of effort and time into the European Business Centre. We were the first employers to be involved in helping it actually be set up in Birmingham in conjunction with Pricewaterhouse and some other local companies and industries, and we are working very closely with them at the moment, both over here and back in Birmingham, to help them market their services and to increase the European awareness of Midlands businesses. We have links with firms in most of the major European cities, Paris, in Berlin, in Munich, in Milan, and we also have close ties with a major firm in the Midwest of the USA, Buchanan Ingersoll, with whom we are doing more business, both in terms of UK business and also more and more American companies are interested in being in Europe.
So presumably 1992 and Europe are going to be financially very beneficial to their jobs.
They certainly are. In the short term, in terms of 6 months or 12 months of being here, the answer is no. In terms of 5, 10, 20 years, the answer is it's indispensable, and it will be very profitable indeed.
Just across the road from the present European Commission is one of the largest construction sites in Europe, where a new Commission and Parliament building is well underway. Do people really have any idea what will go on behind these walls, or how it could affect them? There is genuine concern about the possible loss of sovereignty to the bureaucrats in Brussels, what one journalist described as the closed system with its league of whispering diplomats.
It's not going to bring about the end of national identity. There's no two ways about that. You're still going to get the 12 member states. It's just going to mean that it will be easier for a West Midlands company, an East Midlands company, to place their goods on the market, to trade, if you like, at the same level, on the level playing field, with their French, with their German, with their Italian competition. Likewise, the Germans, the Italians, the Spanish will find it easier to trade, to compete on the market or in the market within the UK. And that's what UK industry needs to be aware about and needs to plan for.
And the DTI can help, whether you need to keep the opposition out or take the fight to them. Walsall-based GBG fences pick up other fences leave off, making high boundary fences for anything from DIY stores to maximum security prisons. A slump in the market forced GBG to try a more organised approach.
The first initiative we did was a design initiative. and they helped us produce the company literature. We had the artwork, photography done, printing, everything else. That gave us the ability then to approach hitherto unknown customers by post, which we hadn't had the ability to do before. Because that we didn't get to a telephone, we lost. A simple inquiry can be built on with the right literature. They gave us the ability to do that.
Employing about 30 men, the firm have recently been awarded the British Standard 5750, a crucial quality assurance standard which guarantees the quality of their work right through the production process. Essential weapon in winning British business. Why then do they want to look to Europe?
Because the Europeans are trampling us over us already. We've got German firms, Italian firms. They're marketing in the UK at the moment very, very strongly. And some very good product. So you've either got to get off your backside and go out and market against them, or you're going to go under. Choice is yours. There's no two choices about it. The other one is, of course, that there's such a broad customer base out there. Our basic market in the UK has been with the major DIY companies, Texas, these guys. This market obviously now is reaching reasonable saturation. We're looking now to expand, and quite frankly, the quickest expansion that we can find is going to be in Europe.
GBG also make fences to control environments. The success of one which stopped airborne coal dust pollution in Kent has led them to tender for a similar fence to prevent empty channel shuttle trains from going over. They also have other plans.
Two thoughts came to us originally. The first one was a Euro van, for want of a better height, i.e. a vehicle that's fitted out with all the equipment that we normally need to carry out the erection of one of these security fences or air dam systems, and for that basically to live on the continent. The other idea was, of course, just a simple container with again all the cruise equipment, so that we can move men quickly. With the modern systems of transport, groupage, etc., you can move materials very, very quickly and quite reasonable cost. The idea was that we got the manpower backup and the equipment backup permanently in Europe to be able to carry out these projects.
Birmingham Chamber of Commerce is the largest in the UK. A powerful lobby for Midland firms in places like Brussels and Westminster. It also hosts the European Business Centre I've already heard about. Part of a network of 21, sometimes called Euro Info Centres. What do they have to offer?
A whole range of services. We have an inquiry desk here, a free inquiry desk for all companies, and we answer inquiries on all EC matters. Now it can range from sort of funding and grants to EC law, EC directives. We also run a number of seminars, again, sort of making companies aware of the European challenge and the fact that EC law is now becoming UK law. So they've got to sort of take that into account as far as their short, medium and long-term plans are concerned. As well, we also offer what we call the Business Cooperation Network. And that is a sort of dating agency between companies. What happens is a company comes along and is looking for a type of business cooperation, an agent, a distributor, maybe a joint venture partner. And we can put that company's details onto a computer, and it is then matched with companies who are looking for that sort of business cooperation throughout Europe.
And if you had about one message, what would that be?
In a nutshell, the single market is all about good business planning. I think if you have a business plan, if a company has a business plan, whether it be a small, medium, large company, and incorporates the angle of Europe, come to the European Business Centre, find out what it means to your company, and then that is the way to prepare yourself for the single market.
For every technician trained in the UK, the Germans train 4, and for every £1 we spend on training, the French spend 5. We must match this, and therefore colleges and polytechnics have a major part to play, and it's not just one-way traffic.
The
Since the incorporation, when polytechnics became independent, we have now become, in effect, educational businesses. And in many cases, it is vital for polytechnics to be involved in working closely with industry, not only to bring in finance to help us, but more importantly, staff development, for us to keep up to date with the practice of industry, and for industry to get close to us. It's now become a fairly major part of our operation. Certainly in my own department, we spend something like 40 to 50% of our time now working closely with industry and developing short courses and doing consultancy work. It's a very, very important part of our operation. Not only just local industry in the UK, but more and more into Europe.
And a recent project was to redesign this forklift truck, the Leicestershire firm Clico, incorporating EC regulations. But what about exporting education?
We do have a number of courses that we export and sell abroad. In our own engineering field, we're currently working with the Hogeschool in Utrecht to export a product design degree at a postgraduate level, and that will be coming on stream in October 1992. We're also heavily involved in exporting particular subject areas into Spain and into Greece. Some of this funded by EC initiatives such as the Common Programme. We're now in the process of delivering some industrial short courses into Spain in new areas of design assurance, reliability, and in management of design.
What about training here? Professional, industrial and commercial updating was set up to help industry train for Europe. Matthew College is in the scheme. How do they see the future if industry doesn't pick up the gauntlet?
Well, the outcomes are pretty chronic, aren't they? If we don't actually get our act together and concentrate on training, then the implication must be that when there is a complete freedom of access throughout the single market, British companies will find that their better prepared European competitors will steal a market from them and erode their market share.
In your opinion, whose fault is this?
It's easy to allocate blame, and obviously you'll realise that I don't want to try and find scapegoats, but I think you could say that to some extent education shares some of that blame, certainly in the past, in that it's rather tended to wait for customers to walk across the threshold. That's changing now. I think you could point the finger at government as well. There's been a lot of help given to companies to try and look towards Europe, but perhaps the emphasis that's given to training hasn't equalled that. But I also think companies themselves are to blame. Admittedly, we have been going through a recession just recently, and training is one of the first casualties often in company budgets. But even before the recession bit, the record of British companies wasn't good. And in the end, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink.
Okay. Can we catch up?
Well, we've got to. I mean, the question of not catching up doesn't bear thinking about, because if we don't catch up, then all that will happen is that UK companies will find that better prepared businesses, mainly Europe particularly, will simply steal their markets away. Harvey Jones has gone on record as saying that he thinks that up to 50% of British small to medium-sized enterprises, that's companies employing fewer than 500 people, could go to the wall in the wake of the single European market.
And I've seen enough to know who'd be taking advantage of that. Quite simply, a better prepared competitor, either from down the street or rather more likely from mainland Europe. It's still not too late to start planning for 92. Consider, for example, the German firm Shot Glass with a distribution centre in Stafford. When did they start to get their act together?
Well, I have to go back about 3 years now. My company then took the decision that this was an important development. The company set up a working group consisting out of the management directors of the European sole subsidiaries who came together and defined the particular areas of interest, the problem areas, and where action should be taken. And as a result, we have seen cross-border mergers, we have seen new standards being set up, we have seen language courses being introduced in Germany particularly, and this is still ongoing. Of course, we have still 2 years to go.
By then, the tunnel will be open and trainloads of German glass and English-speaking technicians waiting to use it. Transport and training, just 2 of our millstones.
I was a great supporter of industrial training boards and was happy to see them all disappear in the way that they have. But having said that, of course, it's also down to individual companies in this area who don't do the training that used to be done here. Apprenticeships now at a premium as far as young people are concerned, and if we are to make an impact, and make this point consistently, within the European community we've got to fully skilled operatives in every sector of our industry and commerce. It worries me in the way that industry has stayed away from this, and well, Joe Blogg doing it next door, we're pinching trained operatives when they're ready. And this, of course, has happened over the years, but it does need a massive input really into this particular sector, and it does need a consistent policy, and it means, in fact, industry, the government, local authorities, the techs, the chambers of commerce, the CBDI have all got to pull together to make sure this happens.
So the information, the advice, even the money is available to assist companies to succeed in the market. But is the message falling on deaf ears? Is there perhaps too much information, or is it not being targeted properly?
I certainly believe the DTI message is getting across. You only have to look at the statistical evaluation of the campaign over the last 2.5, 3 years. We are more than satisfied that there is 98% awareness of the single European market. It's a general awareness campaign that we're running, and we're certainly signposting towards the specific help and advice that can be provided by the European Business Centre and Birmingham, that can be provided by the trade associations. Talking to them, we're getting the message that they're placing the infrastructure ready for their members to take advantage and gain the information that is necessary for single market planning. At the end of the day, we can't tell a company what to do. We don't know how the single market is going to affect that company. It's the decision makers in that company at the end of the day that know whether or not they're going to be competitive, it's going to be an opportunity to them, or whether they're going to look upon it as a major threat.
So, can we sell our English cheese to the French? Arthur Cunningham, owner of Langman's in Stratford, certainly thinks so, and is ready to take them on.
I'm a Frenchman, very proud of my cheese. You sell some British cheese.
Well, we've got some wonderful cheeses now. I don't know whether you know, but in fact, on-farm cheese making was actually banned in the war in this country as being too labour intensive. So a lot of our interesting cheeses died out. They died a natural death in the war, which is something that didn't happen in France. So they've continued with the interesting cheeses, and we've had to sort of rebuild our industry. And it's only really in the last 5 or 6 years that we're starting to produce really interesting cheeses again. And now we have some wonderful cheeses. Most people tend to think of English cheeses as being of the hard variety, of the cheddars and red Leicesters. But in fact, now we are producing some very good softer cheeses as well. Things like Manchester, which is a lovely cheese made up in Scotland, just south of Edinburgh. On a very small farm, they only have 18 cows there, so it's a very small basis, but the cheese is absolutely wonderful. With soft cheese made in Cornwall, in fact on the Duchy of Cornwall estate, Prince Charles's estate down in Cornwall, it's one of his tenants makes this cheese, covered in herbs and garlic and covered in pepper. We have an ash-coated one from the Cotswolds, Cerney cheese from just outside Cirencester. That's a goat's cheese, and that's proving so very popular in this country. Sort of thing that will go in France. And of course, some of the more traditional English cheeses, things like our cheddar, which mature to 18 months of age. That was judged to be the best British cheddar at IFE 2 years ago. That's one of only 2 remaining unpasteurised cheddars. Unfortunately, there's a great sort of pressure to pasteurise milk in this country, cheese making, and there are just 2 cheddars left now from unpasteurised milk. The Montgomery one is one of them.
So you're going to sell cheese to the Italians, and looking at this section, no one can deny that you can do it. I mean, it's marvellous stuff. What about language?
I speak some French. I was in the wine trade before. I think my French is probably good enough for buying. For selling, I'm not so sure. We might have to either I'll have to brush up on it and perhaps employ somebody who is absolutely fluent in French.
That young lady over there speaks French.
She does indeed. She's in fact French. We already, 1992, have a French girl who works for us here. So she would certainly be a good entree into Belle France.
So we can look forward to seeing Union Jacks on cheeses in France in the future.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yep.
And this is where Arthur Cunningham already has his foot in the European door, the Lille warehouse of the Henard brothers, Arthur's French importers. The Henard family have been dedicated to maturing cheese for 4 generations. Care and attention paid to a cheese like Mimolette, which has to be turned and brushed daily for up to 3 years, is evidence of how seriously the French take their cheese. Indeed, Jacques Henard seeks out cheeses from all over France. He would be a major supplier to Langmans when Arthur opens his planned shop in Paris. How do they rate his chances with Dorset Blue Vinegar?
Well, we did start to sell some English cheeses, Stilton and cheddar, because we had some demand from some of our foreign customers, and mainly for Stilton and cheddar, but at Christmas time. But I would say that maybe we can handle some more. It's all a question of reputation. If he sells good cheeses, then it won't go from mouth to here, and people will buy the cheeses. And why not the English cheeses? Sure.
Henard supply a number of hotels and specialist cheese shops in England. The Savoy is on their list, as are small retailers from the West Country to Derbyshire. They share the same concerns as Langmans over EC food and hygiene directives, but have the added advantage of being able to call on fleets of small refrigerated vans, something we don't have over here.
Transport is really important because we do sell cheeses at a certain stage of maturity, ripeness. And like, for example, if a customer asks for a camembert that is ripe, it needs to be by the customer the next day or at least 2 days later because it's ready to eat. So it has to be quick and cold transport, of course. And I know that this is one of the main problems that we encounter in England because there is nobody really dealing with transport and groupage to go to retailers as we do.
So when Arthur does open his shop in Paris, he'll be able to get there from this place, Birmingham Airport's new Terminal 2.
The idea is simple. Birmingham becomes a transit hub and other European destinations are at the end of the spokes, so linking multiple departure points with multiple destinations without having to leave the same terminal. Well done, British Airways. Perhaps you could have a word with British Rail. Finally to Hanover to see the DTI-assisted, Chamber of Commerce-sponsored British participation in an overseas trade fair. The trade fair is the commercial battlefield of the 20th century. Get it right, you win. You bother to show up, you lose.
Well, the Hanover Fair is really the biggest industrial trade fair in the world. Birmingham Chamber's been coming here for many years, and we bring groups of companies into many sections like this one for materials handling, but we have 5 other sites this year around the fairground, and it's a show that brings an excellent mix of industry from all parts of the world. An amazing amount of business gets done.
What percentage of the people here are British?
About 203 directly exhibiting British companies, which is up 5% of the total. That's good, and that's excellent for the ones who are here, like the group we've got in this hall, but we could really do with seeing more people here. It would be good.
What sort of help do you give them to get here?
Well, we work in a joint venture with the Department of Trade and Industry in London, and we provide companies who are coming to this exhibition with really a walk-on exhibition package, a stand of a size to take the exhibits that they want to put on, practical help in bringing the stuff here, practical help with accommodation, with languages, and the government provides a subsidy of 50% towards the cost of the space and the stand.
So with the headaches taken away, small firms like this are able to concentrate on making the actual event worthwhile.
Essentially, yes, we have to do our own basic groundwork, but your hand is held all the way along the line. So the DTI organises a preliminary briefing in London, which you attend. They give you a fully comprehensive information package. You can ask initial questions there. When you get to your own factory or your own works, you can run through the information. If you have any queries, the Birmingham Chamber will be pleased to answer them. It's all fairly simple and fairly straightforward.
And now you're here, I mean, your product versus the European opposition. I mean, what's the result?
I'm very, very pleased with the exposure we've had. And I think I may have explained that the product we have here is unique in England, it's unique in Europe, they haven't got it in America, it is streets ahead of any compare and other manufacturer, in my opinion, in most of the industrialised countries. It's a small, specialist product which we've developed in Birmingham, specifically for rollers, which, in my opinion, will give everybody a chance with better products. We've done as far as we can in the UK at the moment. If you realise you've gone as far as you can in the UK, you've only one option, that's to export. If I could take our company as an example, a very small company, we did approximately £1.4 million last year, but we did over £300,000 direct exports to the USA, specifically because they got on a plane and took the product to the Americans. They liked what they saw and they bought it. I know my product, for example, I know from all in America, it's ahead of anything Americans got in this field. But you don't know until you go and find out.
Another company here under the wing of the Birmingham Chamber make conveyor units in Starport. No great linguists, Stephen Stewart brushed up their French and German, only to say good morning. As for business, have their visit paid off?
Well, maybe by Saturday, we've got at least 160 contacts. We haven't totaled them up yet, but I would imagine it's got at least 350. And that's besides the people that just picked up catalogues and walked away.
It's going to be really good. I mean, we're going to have our work cut when we get back to follow all up, which we'll jump on very quickly. So in 1992, with the single market, systems go for you. Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes. Exhibiting in Hanover's 25 halls were over 6,000 firms from 50 nations. Surrounded by the massive stands of German industrial giants can be a daunting prospect, especially for a small materials handling firm from Kenilworth. But as managing director David explained, this tiny product was not only simple to operate, but coming under intense scrutiny from the Japanese. I insisted on a road test.
And has it been worthwhile coming here?
Absolutely. It requires more of the world. Switzerland, France, Portugal, Korea, USA, Canada, even Japan, Germany, bags of inquiries from Germany.
Amazing. And it's British and it's unique.
All the British firms notice the same thing. Come to a fair organised with typical German efficiency, it attracts worldwide buyers.
Certainly, I mean, there are very good trade fairs in many other parts of the world, including, of course, in our own native Birmingham. but German trade fairs have established a reputation which is generally well deserved, and this one certainly, the Hanover Industry Trade Fair, is in a class by itself, I would say.
Every Hanover fair profiles the industry of a particular nation. This year it was Switzerland. It was suggested that Britain be partner country in 1992. Of all years, we turned down the offer, and the flag went to France. Wasn't it Voltaire who noted that we kill one in order to encourage the others?
At the end of the day, the European single market isn't just about trade fairs and transport, it's about attitude. We must remember that we're as much a potential market to them as they are to us. If we don't take this opportunity, we could end up just an offshore island.